So in my mind, when I hear that phrase, I think of the following: strong, no nonsense, running a tight ship. This is a woman who's working probably multiple jobs, whether it's in the household or outside the household. Typically, it's someone who doesn't feel supported or is constantly kind of beat down and doesn't have that much patience when it comes to the children, whether it's 1 or 10. It's hard. And she's doing so much, and people are constantly criticizing before they even offer a hand of help, right? And so she's just like, look here, like I said it once, I'm not saying it again. That's it.
Yeah.
Get in line, or I will get you in line, and you don't want me to get you in line.
Exactly.
So that's what comes to mind when I think about that. But I also think, someone who also, culturally for me, my family's from Jamaica, someone who's gonna, be rough and tough, but also love me hard, right? And give me that good meal, yes, with oxtail, yes, with jerk chicken and rice and peas. Thank you. And hopefully some vegetable and steamed vegetables.
Yes.
And then also, someone who's gonna be a plethora of knowledge and wisdom, right? And that
Hello, and welcome to the Bold Black Girls podcast. I'm Aries.
And I'm Kim.
And I'm very excited this week. I love when we have a guest.
I do too.
It's good conversation. We bounce off of each other, but sometimes it's good to get an extra perspective. Yes. And on this one, we are doing something a little different. I think it's a conversation that we need to have, but I was looking for someone who is new in their journey. And this probably would have been good for Mother's Day, but I think we need to do this a little bit ahead of time because because I'm like, it might be a part 2 and part 3. I don't know. But anyway, so we have Miss Natasha Nurse. She is joining us. She also has her own podcast called Woke and Free with her husband. But let me give her a proper intro, and then we were going to bring her on and we're going to chat about hashtag Black Mamas today. All right.
One of our favorite topics.
Our favorite topic. So Natasha Nurse is a proud 08 grad of the Pennsylvania State University. She is a DEI professional, coach, speaker, and podcaster. She started the innovative podcast Woke and Free with her husband to address hot topics in an entertaining and educational way. They talk about relationships, education, religion, politics, music, history, fashion, diversity in media, entertainment, empowerment matters, life hacks, technology, cultural disparities in the world, and everything in between. So they got it all covered, okay? You can listen to a new Woke and Free episode every Wednesday for their hashtag Woke and Free Wednesday. Additionally, she is an enthusiastic mom who loves creating content, reading, and enjoying time at home with her husband, son, and pets. You can follow them on all the platforms, and we'll make sure to put links of their contact info in the show notes. Welcome to the Bold Black Girls podcast, Natasha.
Thank you. So honored and so excited to be here to talk about Black mamahood. Yes.
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 It's going to be real interesting.
Yes. And I wanted you to, because I was like, okay, me and her, we were on a panel together, a podcast panel sometime back, some months back last year. Yeah. And we just stayed connected and we're like, we need to do something next year. So the time is now. But also she had just had a baby, right at that time. He was only a couple months old, I think, then.
Yes.
And now he's a whopping 9 months. And so you are new on your mom journey. I'm halfway through my mom journey at 10 and 12. And Kim is on the end of her mom journey. But mom never ends.
It never ends.
Right?
But you know how they say, at 18, I'm done. But you're really not done. But you're almost there.
Exactly.
Legally speaking, you're done. But emotionally, it's a lifetime journey.
It definitely. It just evolves and shifts into a different phase.
Exactly. So I wanted us to kind of talk about, in the Black community, Black mama, that's a whole concept. There are culturally accepted rules that follow what a Black mama is, how she is, what she does, how she parents, how she talks to her kids, what she does, And so I know for myself, there are ways that I parent that may not follow that, and some that do. So, but I have received criticism about the way I parent because it's not exactly in that, that in alignment with that. I mean, you can go on comments in any social media platform where you're looking at someone who may be talking about gentle parenting or some other form of parenting that they use, and people in the comments like, I would have did this, I would have did that, kind of making it a negative thing that we're not doing it that way. So I want to kind of bring this whole thing out for us to discuss.
Yes.
Some of those stereotypes first. Like when you think of a Black mama, or somebody talking about Black mama, because we do all the time, we be like Black mama whenever we do something kind of around that, way.
That construct, yep.
What would you say, Natasha, is what you think of when you think of somebody saying Black mamas, or whatever?
So in my mind, when I hear that phrase, I think of the following: strong, no nonsense, running a tight ship. This is a woman who's working probably multiple jobs, whether it's in the household or outside the household. Typically, it's someone who doesn't feel supported or is constantly kind of beat down and doesn't have that much patience when it comes to the children, whether it's 1 or 10. It's hard. And she's doing so much, and people are constantly criticizing before they even offer a hand of help, right? And so she's just like, look here, like I said it once, I'm not saying it again. That's it.
Yes.
Get in line or I will get you in line. And you don't want me to get you in line.
Exactly.
So that's what comes to mind when I think about that. But I also think, someone who also culturally, for me, my family's from Jamaica, someone who's going to, be rough and tough, but also love me hard, right? And give me that good meal. Yes, with oxtail. Yes, with jerk chicken and rice and peas. Thank you. And hopefully some vegetable and steamed vegetables.
Yes.
And then also, someone who's going to be a plethora of knowledge and wisdom, right? And that the Black woman is the creator of life, right? The first people on this earth were Black men and Black women. So we are the original people. And so that is the original love and depth of what humanity has to offer.
I love that definition.
I do too. And you hit a point, like when I first met Aries, this was before when I finally met her and I saw her kids in Kids Club and we went to this event. She just turned him around so quick. I said, and I have this on video. I'm probably going to send her. I was taping her. I was like, there go that Black mama flipping her kids around. Because you said it is no nonsense, but a lot of that has to do with what's on our shoulders and our plate and the lack of support that we may be getting professionally as well as personally. So you're carrying the weight, and that's where that patience goes. And we'll get more into that because I look back as being an older mom. I had to apologize to my daughter because my patience was short, but it was because I realized, wow, I was doing so much and I was doing it all alone. So I was tired.
Yeah. I like everything both of you said because it definitely, that's what I think of. I think of all that. I think of all that. And what I hear is that it's what we're doing, but there is a reaction to the situation that we're in. And maybe if the situation wasn't like that, we would do something different, right?
Exactly.
Like there is a choice that we're making as well as moms on which path we want to go, right? Because we know how to do the Black mama thing. Like if you were raised by a Black mama, you know exactly how to do it. It probably comes very natural to you because you were parented that way. And so I know for me, it's like, I don't even think about it. You know how when people be like, you sound like your mama right now, you're like, oh my God, that's something my mama would have said. That's why we use the same lines that they use. You got McDonald's money. We're using the same line. So it's clearly a system, that we have adopted and we can either adopt it as good, but some of it could be toxic.
It could.
Yeah.
Like how do you, and I don't know, maybe, and you have a newborn. So maybe we could talk about like kind of what have you or do you take that with you in your new parenting role, or are you making other choices because maybe your situation is different than your mom's? I don't know. Tell us a little bit about how you're choosing to kind of start this off, because you got a fresh start right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, I would say I also started my journey as an older mom. I'm 35, turning 36. I was pregnant when I was 34, so I didn't do this in my 20s. So, your 20s is very different from your 30s. And, and I'm on a trajectory where I'm trying to achieve certain career goals, and then there's this whole baby I have to take care for. And I would say, no disrespect to my parents. I understand that, when they had me, a lot of it is, and a lot of this applies in our community, that, survival versus thrival mentality and mindset. And so I definitely think my mom was doing too much. She had a full-time job. She was an OR technician at a hospital, worked crazy hours, then went to school during the day. So she worked at night, went to school during the day, didn't sleep for days. When people are like, Tosh, you work hard, because I work, typically between 18 and 20 hours a day between my job, my all my other ventures. But my mom, she went in, I would maybe see her sleep 1 or 2 hours every 3 days. She was really tired. And so she just didn't have enough energy or fortitude to be able to give as much as she could. So I would say the biggest lessons I learned from the experience I received from my parents is what not to do, right? So as much as sometimes I do work really hard, sometimes I'll have to stop, right? And then the work shifts to time with my son, because I want to build emotional intimacy with him, because I find that what I wish I would have had if my parents weren't working or, doing whatever they needed to do is more connection, right? So me and my husband, we formed our relationship on honesty and intimacy, meaning that there shouldn't be a question someone could ask him that I shouldn't be able to formulate the answer. I need to know you. We talk about we talk about the fact that he was always so surprised that when I met him, I was like, so what do you do this and how do you feel about the I went in on investigation because I wanted to know this person. I didn't have a lot of friends growing up, and so for me, connection was always really hard. And so when I finally had someone who was like, hey girl, I was like, ooh, let's be bonded for life, right? So let's go in. And I want that with my son. I want him to feel comfortable, to tell me his favorite color, to tell me, what excites him, what does he feel blessed about for the day, what are some of the challenges that he overcame. And I want him to view life through a lens of opportunity, not limitation, because you both probably agree that a lot of times we hear narrative, oh, well, that's not for us, or, just kind of stay in your lane. And I don't, especially for a young Black boy in this country, I need him to view only possibility, not don't do this. So for us, we want to homeschool, right? Because, there's 20 states in the United States that allow corporal punishment, and Arizona, where I live, is one of those states, unfortunately. And we didn't move here for the schooling because it's a trash. It's at the bottom of the list. But one of the top people who get beat in schools are Black boys and then disabled children, right? And so I really want to protect him, because for some reason, they are villainized in this country or in this world. And so I'm learning how to try to build emotional intimacy, even at this age, just how do you feel, KJ? And even when he's screaming, okay, I hear you, I see you. And he responds he likes verbal affirmations. I give him every day since he was born, I've given him an affirmation. You're bold, you're beautiful, you're brilliant. I love you. I say that a lot. I never heard that a lot growing up. And so I want him to understand and same from his father. Say, I love you, man on man love. It's okay. Let's change. Let's break generational curses. I know that was a lot.
I love it. About that. And I've told my daughter that you can learn something from everyone. And you made a very even what I don't want to do, what I did not want to bring over into that. So I can definitely relate, especially with the emotional intimacy. I used to tell my daughter, most Black people are like, don't hold your kids. And
used to. They still be cuddling. And that's not a problem.
I held my daughter, and at night I would rub her back to sleep all the way up until 8. She would get a back rub before she would go to sleep.
Yes. And
so that we're connected. So now we still cuddle. She is 22. And we still cuddle.
I love it.
And I don't do that. I didn't do that with my mother, but I knew I didn't do it. And I think that's what I wanted. So I was like, I'm going to make sure my daughter feels connected to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, I think that what you said too about the, like you said, the what you didn't have. I know that I parent in a way where I want to fill in the gaps that I wish I had. And it's no diss to my parents, because I think something that we do forget, and it's something you brought up about your mom working hard and stuff, is that there is, and you know who talks about the pastor Darius Daniels talks about like how there are stories in the Bible that are prescriptive and descriptive. Just because something is in there doesn't mean it's a prescription. It's just a description of something that was happening, right? So you'll hear, I've heard even men talk about like, my mom was a single mom and she did all these things and blah, blah, blah. And expecting that that's how it's supposed to be. Your mama didn't want to do all that. Okay, just because she did it don't mean that's what she wanted to do, you know? So there's a lot of things where we take the humanness out of motherhood as your job is just be a mom. And what you mean you got a life? What you mean? You know, like how you got a life? Your life is me. No, it ain't. So something that I did when I had kids was from the beginning, just like how you're doing from the very beginning, when my son would be trying to get my attention for something, I would say, I hear what you're saying. Give me one moment. Let me finish this and I will get right with you. And one thing is I've given the kids patience, but also letting them know, like, you're not going to always supersede what I got going on, you know? So just because you want it right now does not mean, of course, when they little babies, you feed them, you know, and all that stuff. But, you know, when they get a little bit toddler age and they're able to like kind of, you know, doing all that, use your words and hold on, you know, and when I'm done doing what I need to do for me, I will get to you, you know, or whatever. And so I definitely think that trying to remember back when we were kids and say, what would I have wanted in, you know, in this moment from my mom, whether it be attention, whether it be whatever that is, and try to bring that to your own kids. I think that's really, really good that you're doing that.
Love that.
I try. It's incredible too, because you know, and you know, having sons, right? Like, so it's a different relationship, that mother-son bond. You know, how he looks at me. Like sometimes I'll just break down in tears because, I mean, yes, I know my husband loves me and my family and friends, but that love of your son, it's like you're the prettiest unicorn he's ever seen. You know, like he'll be doing something and just look back, just look to mama, right? And I'm just like, oh, I love you. You stop it. You stop it. And I feel so privileged, and I thank him. I say thank you for choosing me. And you know, I want to be good and work hard to honor the love that he gives me, because children are magnificent. The human being is no more powerful than when they are at that stage, right? Everything is new and exciting, and they have so much joy in their face. That's why it's really sad when you see sad children, because you know someone's breaking their spirit, because children are meant to be joyous creatures of just light. You know, and anytime you've ever seen a sad child, you have to really wonder what's going on, right? Like, what's going on in that child's life?
Yeah. I mean, those are one of the things I know for me, like LJ. Oh my God. My oldest son, he's the one, he has my heartstrings. I mean, they both like, because of his personality, he's way more in tune with, like, he looks like, how are you look like? Are you okay? Like, he's looking to see, like, body language. Are you sad? Like, wait, hold on. And if he feels like I'm a good day, or if let's say he asked me how my day was, and I'm like, today was kind of like, he'll come get in the bed with me and lay there, you know, and just kind of be like, let me come. That's his way of being like, let me come spend some time with you, you know. My other son,
just don't want him to ever lose that.
I know. And he's very in tune with how people are feeling or like what the vibe is, you know, so he kind of acts accordingly. The other one, child, Marvin.
Yeah.
He'd be like,
different bird.
Yeah. He's like, well, that's your problem. You know, but but there's funny because he does do his own way though. Like he'll come get up under me on the couch, you know, or something like that. You know, he won't say much, but he'll just kind of lay there, you know. And I'd be like, oh, you want to lay with I'd be like, oh, you want to lay with your mom? He'd be like, I mean, not really, but you know, like he play it off, but he's still there though, you know. But you gotta, as a mom, we gotta get to know our kids, like you said, and when you know their style, not try to change their style, but learn how to work within their style.
Absolutely.
Have you had anybody, and I know you're in a new state and I don't know what your social work is like, but have you had anyone kind of criticize your style?
Yeah, absolutely. Like even from when I was pregnant, it's so interesting how people get in your uterus in life, right? Once you say you're pregnant, what are you doing? Are you eating? I'm like, first of all, who's having this baby? And second of all, back it up. Stay in your lane a little bit. Thank you. And so I came up with the phrase, parenting is not a democracy. I could care less what your opinion is. I'm doing it how I want to do it. If you want to do it different, you're welcome to have a baby or adopt someone. There's plenty of babies out in these streets who need homes.
Yes.
So, again, Jamaican, I have no problem telling people where to put it. Because I don't play games with me. Don't come this way. This is a different bird.
See. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Black mama there. That's where I display that in my mouth, that tone.
Exactly.
But yeah, so I moved to Arizona, 2,300 miles for a reason, right? I didn't want to be near my family so that I wouldn't have to deal with that because yeah, it is hard. People will tell you, oh, you're feeding this way, or you're not doing this. Oh, you do this, or you put this cream. I can't, for me, like as a Virgo, I can't deal with that scrutiny all the time. I'm usually the one dispensing of it. So I am not generally going to welcome it. And so for me, when I hear it, I try to just shut it down, and I know it can be seen as rude. And I tell them, again, parenting is not a democracy. Me and Khalil. So, what's cool about our how we've done it, I work full-time now, and my husband, part-time and full-time dad. So now KJ, Khalil does all that, the food prep, putting him to bed, the bathing, all that. And it's interesting because, I didn't grow up in a household like that. I grew up where I saw my mom doing everything. And now KJ will grow up seeing his dad primarily do I say he's like 75%, I'm 25%. Like when he's crying, mama, right? When it's time to eat something yummy, mama. When it's time for snuggles, not a snuggle, a snuggles. That's what we call it here in our household. Mama. But some of the heart for now, at least, it's I think it'll change when he gets older. But yeah, it's different, and I like it because it's non-traditional, and you have to do what feels good, right? I don't think there's one right or wrong way outside of violating ordinances and law and regulation. But outside of that, you have to do what's right for you and your household, and there's nothing stronger than woman intuition, right? So I just try to get more in touch with myself. I try to implore having me time, so I feel and know what do I want to do? What does my spirit tell me what to do? And go forward with it. And will it always be right? No, but there's a lesson to be learned along the way. And then just giving ourselves grace, right? We're so hard on ourselves, and it's okay, right? They're gonna fall, they're gonna get upset. What did we learn from it? Have them understand, have you understand, and just keep it moving.
Yes. Kim, what about you? Have you had people criticize your
I was just
your
gonna
parenting?
say, yes, my mother. Also, a little bit about me, Natasha. I was a teen mom. So it was really different. So because I was a teen mom, they thought that I probably was not going to be a good mom, or I don't know how to care for kids. And actually, even down to this day, most people don't know that I was a teen mom because I don't go around talking about it. But they're like, such an old soul.
And because y'all look like sisters.
We do. And so, the way my mother parented, I would have to tell her, this is my baby, and I'm going to take care of the baby the way I want to take care of the baby. So I'm not going to let you project,
Yes.
And I did take some of those things, some things I regret doing, like whoopings. I wish I would have eased up on that because each child is different. She probably didn't need all those whippings, right? But that's how I was brought up, get in that tail.
Right.
Right. You better pop her. So as I got older, I kind of shifted my parenting, right? And it was more of a humorous type of parenting as well. But I was the fun, humorous, but no nonsense. So that's kind of how and like you. So my upbringing was, my dad was retired because my dad was 20 years older as well.
Oh, wow.
So I was always with my dad, and my dad ironed my clothes, washed my clothes, ran my bath water.
Yeah.
So I grew up kind of leaning on my dad because my mother was working, and she was a teacher full time. So I saw him more than I saw her.
Yeah. That's so interesting. Oh, wow.
It was already non-traditional in how you did that. So for me, child, my mama is the epitome of Black mom. Okay. Like her style, the way she talks, she's a cuss us out. We used to get talked to crazy. She'll slap you. She'll whoop you. She'll beat you. Whatever you need done, she will let it be done. She'll pray for you too. She'll put blessed oil on your forehead and pray for you every night, and whoop you out your sleep when you didn't wash those dishes. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So we had all of that. Me and my sister. But I was more like how my older son is, and very sensitive. I feel like one thing that my mom didn't do, and we've talked about this a bunch of times, was parent me and my sister different, because we're not the same. Like, me and my sister have different styles, right? So for me, yelling at me would just totally, you might as well have beat me. When I got yelled at, it was like I would just be tore down. Like my whole, I would be like, oh my God, like I can't take it. I'm like, why are you yelling at me like this? So I was very sensitive to people being, and I still am. Like, if I get an argument with somebody, specifically like in relationship stuff, you start yelling at me, shut down, gone, bye, see you later. Like, it's not happening. Like, I can't take it. You know what I'm saying? So I try not to, but some of her styles had rubbed off on me. So early on when I was parenting, I'd be just right in that same, thing. And it was a point where I don't like how I feel doing, right? It didn't match me. That style that I thought how you're supposed to be as a mom, it didn't match how I want to do it. So I started reading books. I started learning, like, what are some alternative ways I could do this, And even with my two boys, I have to parent them different. They're not the same. Like, same thing with LJ. He never got no whoopings. Marvin used to get whoopings for the first couple years of his life. And then like that, and so LJ, he'll say, you used to be mean, in the beginning, you used to be mean, but he's watched me evolve as a mom. And I tell him, I don't know what I'm doing. Y'all are helping me learn how to be a better mom, and I want to be a better mom. So I try to get my accountability from them by telling them what I'm trying to do or how I want to. I don't want to be doing this, do that. So when I do this, help me, that. And same thing, so that they could do that when they want to do something. We can all learn accountability together, and you're actually watching it in action. But I got criticized so bad. They would tell me I was trying to raise my kids white, and that when I stopped doing certain things or I don't talk a certain way in front of my kids, I had all kind of criticism from family members and parents. So
it's so hard, right? Like, because it's kind of like, as opposed to, like I said, before we come out with something negative, like, how have you helped, right? Have you sent money? Have you offered to spend time with your kids? Have you sent them books, right? Like, people are they double down on negative as opposed to thinking about, how am I feeding into this kid's life? If you're concerned, then do something about it in a positive, constructive way, because just telling, hey, mom, you're not doing this, it's not helping her. It's just making her feel like, wow, like nobody's got me here, right? Like, you out here by yourself trying to do something. And raising a child is one of the most fundamental things you can do, because you're literally creating a contributor to society, right? So if you jack this up, you jacking society up.
And they're gonna look at you when the child act crazy. They're gonna be like, who raised you?
Yep, exactly. They always come back to mama. Oh, that's how your mama taught you? First of all,
where is she at?
Because I sure be blaming mamas when these dudes be acting up. I be like, your mama must not have raised you right.
I do too.
Jesus. See, it's a vicious cycle.
It's so bad. And that's why I'm like, we're not perfect. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody, I think that's something that we have to, first of all, accept that. And I told my kids this, and I talked to my nephew about this. We've had family that, maybe they felt a certain way about their parents and stuff. And I'm like, we just out here living. We trying to live. We are human beings that happen to have children. Yeah. So you just along for the ride that I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing out here, first of all. And then, because I can't take care of you if I'm not taking care of myself. And some people are like, the kids come first. I ain't with that. I'm not with the kids come first philosophy.
Well, I mean, I just got off the plane. What do they tell you to do when the mask comes off? Put yours on first and then put the child's on. So I'm kind of like with you there. And also, you made a very good point. I don't know if this was before we started recording, but a lot of times we have children and we're not ready. And not only are we not ready, but when that time comes, we don't get ready. Like, here Aries said, I read books. We're not going to figure out, well, how can I be this good parent? And I wanted to be the best parent possible. I want to show up as my best self. So what does that look like? Right? What would I want? What do I want her to experience? Because you just made a good point. Like, I want someone that's going into society that is going to thrive and help others as well.
What do you do, Natasha? What are some things that you have to educate yourself on how you want to be as a mom?
Absolutely. So for me, reading is really fundamental. I have outside of my podcast, I also have a blog, and I do a book club every month. And so I publicly announce that I want to read at least one book a month, but really I aim between 5 and 10. And I always try to have at least one mom book a month or some mom articles every week, because you don't know what you don't know, right? And you're never going to know everything. So you got to understand more about food. You got to know more about schooling and learning. Every child learns different. And then also learning more about yourself, right? Because the better you are in more in tune you are with yourself, the better mom you are. And also just trying to learn practices of wellness, because you are a physical testimony of what goodness is for your child. So you have to learn how to treat yourself better, how to, and that could be anything from education to wellness to fitness to certain goals you're going after. You are showing your child what life could be, right? So if you don't do what you need to do, they're not going to dream the dreams that they could dream. So that's why being a parent is so like, oh gosh, it's crazy when people don't take it seriously, because, on the back end, we see the results of that, right? We see people lost, we see people struggling, and then they go out and they create more children. So it becomes generational trauma and generational broken downness. So we all play a role in making sure that these children not only see and hear and experience the best that we can give them, but also we're affecting generations beyond without even knowing or thinking it. So I try to do that. And then also, me and my husband, we've had 17 years together before we had KJ. Ooh. So we spend a lot of time, just him and I. And so we set boundaries. Like, we both grew up being, whooped. And he said, I absolutely do not want my child whooped. And I was like, are you sure? Like, are you sure? Because, sometimes you got to get in that ass, right? But right. He was like, no. And I said, you know what? Our foundation is trust and honesty. So if that's something important to him, that if I have to walk out the room, I have to respect his wishes and create and honor that boundary. So, KJ will not be whooped, right? And we have to hone in on communication. Why are you upset? Can you understand? Explain to me what's going on. Like, that's going to be our methodology, because their studies show you that when you do whip children, it doesn't create anything other than fear. Yep. and it breaks them down and they shut down, right? And so they're not learning anything in that moment. All you're doing is breaking that spirit. And so again, do you want to be do you want to perpetuate that? I get it. I experience it. I witness it, but now that you know better, you can do better, right? And so that's what we're going to try to do. And we're not going to be perfect, but we're just going to try every single day. And I like to have reflections at the end of every week. I ask him, like, you still good being a full-time dad? Like, what was your win? What was your challenge? Because again, so many of our brothers, our Black men, don't feel like they can just emotionally express it for themselves. So I try to always encourage my husband to tell me how it's going, and do you need help? Because they won't ask for help, right? Men are horrible at taking care of themselves typically. So I try to do what I can do. Again, sometimes it might not be perfect, or I might not always say it in the best way, but I just try and then try to learn.
That's all it is, though. I call it healed parenting. Yes. Like, there's the gentle parenting, and then the other things. I'm not going to say that I'm necessarily gentle.
Yeah.
Because I did, get to a place where I'm like, okay, I'm not going to whip my kids anymore.
Yeah.
And I may have fell off the wagon once or twice,
Yeah.
But it made me look at myself afterwards. It wasn't about my kid made me. I'm one of those people that I try to show them accountability and not be like, you made me do this. Or if you didn't do this, I would have done that. That's right. Abusive, Yep. And I had to apologize to my child and say, I'm sorry for putting my hands on you. I tell you to keep your hands to yourself. I want to keep my hands to myself. And I was out of line. I was emotional. I was not in control of myself. I did not have self-control in that moment. I need to do better. and literally ask for forgiveness. Something that, again, I ain't never really had nobody ask me tell me that they were sorry. None of my parents, my mom, I was probably in my 30s when my mom first apologized to me for the first time about something. And I think it's just cultural. It's something that it's not about them. It's really more of that's just how, they were raised.
Exactly.
And so they did the same thing. And we can easily keep the cycle going, or we could say, how do I want to be better? I don't want my son scared of me, and I don't want them getting used to a woman yelling at them and hitting them.
Exactly. Nope. I did the same thing. I had to apologize to my adult daughter. And also, so I shared with you that my mother, she lives with us. Yes. And my daughter expressed something to her. She was like, "You're being disrespectful." I was like, no, that's not disrespect. Yeah. She's expressing feelings about something you did. You don't like what you heard. That is not disrespectful. So let's stop that. And I tell her, what's wrong with you old people? Everything is disrespectful, and it's not. You are being disrespectful by not allowing her to share her feelings about something that's making her uncomfortable.
As if she's not a human being. Yes, and I think that's something they forget when they're like, oh, you a child, stay in a child's place. Like they should be able to talk to them crazy, like not an actual human being. And that's usually the criticism is that, you let your kids talk. Yes, I do, because they're humans and they deserve to say, I don't like that. You're in my personal space. And I don't want to hug you. I don't want to kiss you. I don't want you all up on me. Like, how would I tell my kids to protect their bodies and not let nobody touch them? No way. But then when family members come, they be like, get over here. And they don't want to, they don't have to do that. So exactly. Yeah. It's a whole thing. It's real out here in our cultural streets.
It really is.
And you do have to be bold in order to stand up, number one, for your children. Yep. Especially if you're in front of your parents or elders or whatever. There's stuff where y'all, I done had to controversial conversations. And this is stuff that we want our allies when it comes to race to do with their, right? But we don't necessarily do it in our own culture. There's a lot of toxicity, toxic masculinity, all these things that we do in our culture sometimes that can be like, I don't want to raise kids. I'm trying to stop a system from perpetuating itself in my kids' life. I don't want them thinking Jim Crow mentality stuff. Oh, no. And I don't want them being sexist. I don't want them being against the LGBTQ, community and stuff like that. So when somebody like, look at that person, they're this in front of my kid, I'm like, well, why does that matter?
Exactly.
Why does it matter? So there's times where I have to be bold with my parents about certain topics in front of my kids. Yeah. Because I want my kids to have an open mind and not take on that stuff and bring it with them, going forward. I'm like, you don't know, your boss might be transgender. Exactly. I don't want you having even no kind of thoughts in your head. These are human beings. Yeah. So too. I know that we all have had to, and you're in the new part of it. So I'm really hoping that, with your husband and you having that tight situation, I think it's going to be really good because y'all can support each other in that.
Absolutely. And it's hard
to tag team.
Exactly. Because it's hard too. Like I naturally tend towards being more liberal because again, I grew up being criticized for being bigger body, being Black, not sounding how I should sound, not looking how I should look. Right. And so constantly being scrutinized for just being my authentic self. So I am constantly purporting that people need to let people live, right? Live and let live. You want to be a different gender. You need to do whatever you need to do to be okay. I champion you because that is all I've ever wanted for myself. Can I just be? Can I just look how I look? Can you just let me be? But my husband is not necessarily as liberal as I am. So we have these conversations, thus the podcast, of where he's on one side and I am all the way on the other side. So it will be interesting to see where KJ lays. Again, we want to have productive, healthy conversations. Come to the table. Why do you feel the way that you do? And, hear other people, right? Even if you don't agree, hear somebody out, right? And think about it and do your own research and start to experience and spend time with people who don't look like you, who have come from different walks of life, because empathy, that's what's missing, right? The whole Kim K, comment around people need to get up and, lack of emotional intelligence, right? We have to we have to understand that each and every one of us has our own story to tell. And I will never know what it is to be you, and you will never know what it is to be me. But the one human thing we can do is we can have empathy for each other. I can hear you. I can say, I can ask you how I can support you, sis. Right. And I can champion you. And that is, if everyone just took that perspective, like, how different of a world would this be? Instead, the judgment and the, oh, so you do this and you sleep with this person, so I can't understand. Why do you care? Live and let live. It's not that hard of a principle.
I was in this Clubhouse room, and it was moms who outsource everything. And there were women. So basically what they had were bringing people on, and they were talking about what are some things that you outsource for your family, and your kids or whatever. And people were giving all these cool. I was like, let me take notes. And I was up in there stuff too, right? And I remember when I was talking about this, because I outsource every damn thing. I literally do. And I'm like, all kind of stuff. So I'm like, I have nothing in me that says I need to be the one doing everything. I'm sorry, but we get criticized. So I'm listening to these women saying, how do you get, one lady said, how do you stop the guilt because one lady talked about how her mom judges her or criticizes her because she outsources certain things and doesn't do it herself. And I said, guilt?
It's a new day.
Girl, what are you talking about?
It is a new day.
Said, I would not give 2 cents unless you coming over here to come do it. I don't care what you talking about.
Exactly.
Are you going to come cook from scratch every day?
Right.
Are you going to come make up their bed and do all the stuff? Okay, well, you don't have nothing to say unless you're contributing to what we do.
Exactly.
So I think we definitely got to, and it is a judgment that comes a lot of times from the elders.
Yep.
That don't like how y'all new girls, y'all doing it this
girls.
Hateful. So hateful. But you know what it is? It's fear, right? Because it's like they never thought that they could do that from themselves. And so now you're doing this and you're challenging their whole system of life. And they're freaked out because, what does that mean if they could have lived a different life, if they could have dreamed a different dream? It means that their life sometimes could have been more regretful than it needed to be. And that's a really scary place for them to be in. And so that's why they do that. It's coming from fear, insecurity, and just like, damn, I effed up. And it's like, yes, you did, but don't shit on my parade. Right? Like, come different.
The thing right there is that maybe it wasn't in your time, it wasn't how it was. And that's okay.
Different time.
Because now my kids have technology in a way that I didn't. So guess what? They're going to be able to some stuff where I'll be like, well, you need to do this and do that because of how I think they're going to function in their household. They may have a button they can push that clean up every room and make up their bed by the time they get to a certain age, and they don't have to do all that.
Wash dishes from their phone.
Exactly.
Yes. Beautiful. So, sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it's like, well, this is how maybe you're going to do it a different way, and people do their thing. So yes, I definitely feel like we, what else do you feel like? Is there any other things?
I love the woke and free. I think we're definitely more woke and free.
Mm-hmm.
Aww,
really, when it comes to parenting, I am more aware, right? So I have freedom to do things because you're outsourcing those things. Like I just opened up her fridge. This is the meal prep queen right here. Okay, honey.
Ooh,
right.
Okay.
From a generation of yes, you cooked homemade meals, but they did everything and they wore themselves out and they have high blood pressure and all of these different things. Where they're not thriving. Now they're paying all of this this money in medicine, and they're not living their life.
Yes.
Now we're over here going to yoga and Pilates and just getting massage. Yes. When I went to Jamaica.
Yes.
I told my daughter, I said, we're going to go to the spa. We're going to do mother-daughter massages. She was like, oh my gosh, is this what you and Miss Aries experience? She was like, no, what? Like, this is the life. And I want her to know that early on. I didn't know about massages. I never saw my mother go to the gym. I never saw her do massages, wellness. It was always work. And that was it. It's like there's more to life than that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel you on the rundownness. Yeah, I was having so my baby's a big baby. Like I was saying before, he was born 9 pounds, 2 ounces. So he already came out like he was 2 months old as opposed to
Yeah, I was
a little person, and he is currently in the 99th percentile in length and 97th percentile in weight. And so I had a natural tendency since I had him to always carry him on my left side. And then about like that last December, I started having horrible like hip and back pains. And I think it's because I wasn't exercising enough and I never stretch. And so now I have a regimen where I signed up for a subscription. I do one massage a month. Yes, I need it. I told my husband, I'm never not having this ever again. Thank you. So I'm just letting you know.
Natasha, I found a new thing. My best friend started doing Stretch Lab. And so I'm going on my first session, I think this week.
Coming up. Mine.
Yeah, they did. And this basically, she said, this is way better than getting a massage because it really, she's like, the massage, I feel like they're just rubbing on you, you know, right?
True.
She's like, they are getting those ligaments stretched out, helping with flexibility. And so I'm going to do my first little session too. So I'll let you know.
That. Yeah, I'll let you. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. And I go swimming, which I find just relaxing and peaceful. And you have to take it. It's funny you said that, Kim, because I never really saw my mom go to the gym either. And she's all worn out, horrible carpal tunnel, horrible arthritis, because if you don't take care of your temple, right, it breaks down. So I want KJ to understand, whoever he ends up with, they need to work well and on taking care of themselves and taking care of him, first of all. And that's a hard one too, right? When you're a mom of a son, like, will the person ever be worthy enough for your baby? No. Not like mama.
No. But I really love this conversation. I feel like we definitely can go. We definitely went over the time we said we were gonna go. But when you're talking about these babies, it's hard. And this motherhood life, I think that we need to, I think the biggest thing is, especially if someone's out there and they're a new mom.
Yeah.
You go on the blogs and you start reading all these. There is an argument for every side of it.
It really is.
There are people who say you should be breastfeeding. You shouldn't be breastfeeding. You should stay at home. You should go to work. You should put them in daycare. You shouldn't. You should homeschool. You should. It's everything. What you need to do is figure out what works for me as this child's mom and what works for my child individually and their personality and what they are telling me that they need, because I'm so in tune with my kid. I realize when I yell at them, that breaks their spirit. When I do these things, really start just paying attention to your own child and cut those voices of other people that want to tell you how you need to do your thing. And what about what's your little nugget of advice you want to tell moms out there? Kim, you want to give yours and then we'll let Natasha close.
It really is what you said. Like, you have to really do what's best for you and your child, because every child is different, right? So hone in. And I really, my piece of advice is spend time with your kids and get to know them, because a lot of times we don't know our children and you're there to help guide them. Like, for instance, my daughter, her 20s now. I told her, I was like, I think you will be great in this type of role. Here's some roles you do, because I know you are creative. You love to solve problems. Well, I wouldn't have known that if I didn't know her.
Oh, that's so powerful. Wow. Yeah, absolutely.
Cultivating, like, for instance, Aries probably didn't tell you, but her kids have golf clubs. Okay.
Cool.
I never saw my mother. Well, I did see her with a hobby. Cultivate those hobbies so you can see what those different strengths are that you can see in them. So
absolutely. Yeah.
Really get to know who they are.
Natasha, first.
My tip of advice is to have a mantra for yourself so that you start the day empowered and happy, because your child is going to be as happy as you can be, right? So if you start off pissed off, if you start off angry, frustrated, doubting yourself, you're feeding that into your kids. So please start your day with a sense of empowerment, knowing that you are beautiful and wonderful and perfectly made. Know that your voice matters, that you need to be okay and you need to thrive, not just survive, for your babies to do well in this world every single day. And it will be a struggle, but get whatever you need to feel that way each and every day, and your child will thrive because of you.
I love that. I love that. Because I know for sure that when LJ used to say I was mean, that was around that time when I just got divorced with their dad. I was stressed. So it made sense what you just said. I was like, see, I was like that because I had all kind of crap going on until I started. When you start working on you, then you be better for your kid. You can't be better for them until you're better for yourself. So
Exactly.
I love that. Thank you, Natasha. This won't be the last y'all hear of us with Natasha because we're gonna be on her podcast. So maybe we could double it up and that'll give us both extra episodes, child.
Right.
Anyway, we are so glad that you came to the Bold Black Girls podcast.
Yes, this was a great conversation.
Because you definitely are a bold Black girl and we love it. And we can't wait to see how the baby grows and hear more about the
Black girl, bold Black mama,
homeschool, all the great things. And so thanks again for doing a Bold Black Girl.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor.